Hey y'all. Today we're gonna be talking about Across the Spider-Verse on why I think Miles' dad will be alive. I just wanted to make a separate part because my fingers started hurting when I was writing this little script. So, anyways, I just wanted to bring up a couple things first. So here's the rules: the canon event has to happen in the Spider-Verse, otherwise the Spider-Verse will tear, presumably from the Spot, which is a theory from Miguel. Miles, who is bit from the spider from Dimension 42, is an anomaly. The Spot, who is the joke villain of the week that quickly learns and becomes a multiversal threat, an anomaly as well. Dad slash Miles's dad, class all the dads in all the Spider-Verse, pretty much. But Miles's dad in particular, that actually sees through the holes and actually tries to attempt to jump through a hole. Sorry, words. Anyways, and then Miles 42, the Prowler, the one who wasn't bitten by the spider, who was automatically an anomaly. Goodness, I'm gonna be stuttering a lot, so please bear with me. Anyways, and Gwen, who is trans, who is an anomaly. Basically speaking, since it is a political movie, whether you like it or not. I'm gonna bring this up again. Anyways, and then that's all we'll be talking about right now. I'll bring up the rest later. Anyways, in Gwen Stacy's part, I like to bring up that a lot of Across the Spider-Verse music is really ascending music. It's always building up, like something is being built up. And one thing I'd like to bring up about Miles is that he is the essence of a double meaning, which is an important word we're bringing up for Gwen, because he is someone that is able to get things done surprisingly while going through the hard part, which is the dark night of the soul, if you want to presumably call it, or the really, really depressing part in Spider-Man. But anyways, we see here in the beginning that Gwen feels like an outcast for being the only, goodness. So we see here in the beginning the parallels of Gwen and her father. Gwen here feels like an outcast not only for being Spider-Man, but it could also be interpreted as her being trans, since it really has an emphasis on her double life. Air quote, double meaning. No, trans people really place themselves in this movie just from the subtle trans allegory. That being her suit colors and the flag in her room. In this line of work, Gwen always ends up as a solo act. This kind of events where she loses Peter, and the other where she loses her father when she becomes police chief, which she prevents when she just is honest with him. Now, Gwen and her dad's relationship are both rocky, but they're both trying to learn, because, from the hog, they're just wanting to protect each other, because they just want to protect what they love, Being quick on her feet with the helicopter is a result from being a fast learner, just like Miles. When's coming out scene, both parties make the mistake, and yes, pun intended, since Miles Morales' parallel to their dad's fight is at a party, literally. Backed into corners, Gwen's being her whole identity, which is the trans flag, and her father's being the shape of a bridge / gate, which, if you remember from Undertale, where Asgore was protecting the seven souls, all that. Will he let her pass? Will he let them pass? All that type deal. Gwen, I've thought about telling you, but you can see why I don't want to. Double meaning. Being trans because she just isn't a murderer, and she isn't confident in her transition right now as she's freaking out. And her being Spider-Man, because she believes Spider-Man murdered Peter. See why I didn't want to tell you, Gwen says. And then her dad saying, how long have you been lying to me? And I don't think he means to say this out of offense, but out of genuine concern, because one, she's been hiding this her whole life as a trans allegory, and two, as Spider-Man, she's been potentially hiding a murder case that could have been solved a long time ago. But if he truly loves her, which he does later in the film when they make up together after he denies being police chief, can you really blame him after Gwen didn't really try to calm the argument down? She was just saying, just listen to me. You really blame him for saying you have a right to remain still after Gwen didn't really try to calm down the argument? All she was saying was just listen to me, and unfortunately, that is something a liar would say, Spider-Man. Or shall I say Spider-Woman? Sorry. After Miguel interrupts the fight, we can see that Gwen says, I don't know how to fix this. still being technically an anxious teen under that Spider-Man facade, Spider-Woman facade. I say Spider-Man because it's, the genuine verse, Spider-Man. But she's Spider-Woman. But anyways, like I said, there's a double meaning, and Miles is the only person that believes you can have 2 cakes and eat it too. But I just like to be fair. Also, one thing I like to point out is that Chelsea, New York, Eve, Also, something I like to point out that Chelsea, New York, Earth 65, which being in her trans colors, and Miles's verse, which is, hold on, I'm trying to find it. Which Miles's verse, which is Earth 1610. Sorry, I'm a little thirsty. That being Miles's verse in Earth 1610 in Brooklyn, which I had just realized that they live in different parts of New York, and he also still gets new comics and popularity. While Gwen doesn't. She does get a cool, really cool, emphasizing cut scene, basically claiming that she's coming to the climax of her character arc, which is what happens later in the film when they have a conversation. And I will bring up the conversation later, but right now I need to take a break because my hand is tired and I do not want to get, a cramp in my hand. I already got a cramp in my hand. I don't want to get osteoporosis. Or, you know what I mean. Anyways, thank you for listening. I will chat with y'all later. Bye-bye.